Trenchcoat Sprinter. This must have been around 8th grade. It was late at night and I was bored as hell. It was getting hot in the desert even at night. I decided to go for a walk. As usual, the roads were empty, not uncommon for a small town. Wearing shorts and a tank top, I was still sweating at 11:30 at night. The pavement radiated the heat it absorbed from the sun. I could feel it through my flip-flops. The air was dead still, which was disappointing. The plan was to head to the neighborhood park because it had grass that was watered at night and generally provided some relief from the heat. I only made it a few blocks before I saw him. Quite a bit down the road, there was a hugely tall, minimum 7-foot guy walking towards me on the same side of the road. He was on the wrong side, technically, as his gait freaked me out a little, so I crossed to the other side of the street. As we both continued to walk towards each other on opposite sides of the road, I noticed he was wearing a trench coat, a full-length heavy-ass trench coat in 100-degree midnight heat. We passed under a street lamp at the same time and make some eye contact. Mistake. He immediately starts running at me diagonally across the road. Full tilt. He crossed half the blacktop in 2 seconds. Oh shit, I bolted. I could hear his motorcycle boots pounding on the pavement behind me. I could hear his leather trench coat swishing. Luckily, I was a pretty fast runner as a kid, but one of my flip-flops broke. I tripped but didn't fall. I heard his breath catch. He was close as hell. Lost the other flip-flop and kept running on straight over the rocks and broken glass to get home. As I round the corner to my house, I could no longer hear his stopping. He had crapped out, with bloody feet. I flew up the staircase and locked the door home alone. I turned up the TV and hid in the back bedroom. Trenchcoat Creeper in Philly. Longtime lurker, first-time poster. I found this subreddit 3 weeks ago, and ever since then, I read it every chance I get. I like the longer stories because I like as many details as I can get. So sorry if this is too long. My boyfriend hates me reading this subreddit because he thinks I'm already paranoid, and it makes me even more paranoid. I personally think it's made me a bit aware what's going on around me. In fact, a week ago I bought myself some pepper spray because I never realized how handy it could be until I read this subreddit. My boyfriend and I are college students and I live in Philly, right off of Drexel's campus. It's considered to be a safe area, at least for Philly, and there's always public security officers as well as police officers patrolling. It's also a heavily populated area, so at any given time, you can expect other people to be walking near you. We've been living in the area for 3 years now, and aside from some random creepers, have never been scared or felt threatened until 2 nights ago. Having spent Thanksgiving break with my boyfriend's family, we were finally returning to our apartment in Philly. It was around 7 p.m. when we reached 30th Street Station and started a 15-minute walk to the apartment. We were carrying a suitcase, a duffel bag, packbacks, and other random things, so we were taking our time walking and just enjoying the night. Everything was fine, until we reached a crosswalk that passed by the soccer field. There, my boyfriend stopped to readjust the bags. We must have stopped for less than a minute, and then we started walking again. I was lagging behind my boyfriend and just enjoying my walk when my boyfriend snapped at me to hurry up. I got annoyed and told him to relax, as we weren't in a rush. Without turning around, he quietly said, "There's someone following us." I knew better than to straight up look behind us, so I acted like I was fixing my backpack and glanced back quickly. There was a large black man wearing a long trench-like coat following us. He was staring at us pretty intently, and he had no expressions on his face. I picked up my pace to match my boyfriend's. He told me that he noticed this man watch us when we stopped by the soccer field. Then the man crossed the street to come on the side that we were on. Not wanting to overreact, we decided we'd just take a different route that involved some turns. We took 2 right turns and pretty much walked in a square, and the man was still behind us. In fact, now he seemed pissed and was walking even faster. At this point, I was terrified. I was clutching my pepper spray keychain in my hand and I was shaking. There were a lot of people around, but for some reason there was no public security officers. We decided to stop at the 7-Eleven to try to lose him. We went in and browsed, and this guy just stood outside waiting for us, scared. We decided we'd just run the rest of the way. The apartment we live at is gated off, and there is a security guard that lets you in if you don't have a scan thingy or something. I didn't want to show him where we lived, so we decided to cut across someone's backyard and then loop back to the apartment. We walked out of 7-Eleven, and when we passed him, I got the worst feeling of terror in my body. I knew that this was not someone we wanted to be near. We walked briskly to the end of the crosswalk, and glancing back, we saw him walking behind us. but at a slower pace. We saw the house that we were going to cut across, and then ran like hell. I don't know where I got that burst of energy to run with all the crap I was carrying, but I ran like never before. We got to the street that the apartment was on and looked around. We didn't see him, so we ran inside the lobby and told the security guard what happened. He assured us that we were fine and that he wouldn't let him in. My boyfriend and I were shaken up for the rest of the night, but we didn't dwell on it for too long. I thought that the whole thing was over, but this afternoon, my boyfriend left for work. An hour or so later, I walked out of the building to run some errands. Halfway to the store, I realized I forgot my wallet, so I headed back. I went back in the building, grabbed my wallet, and came outside right when I came outside. Guess who I saw staring at me? I rushed back into the lobby and told the security guard on duty about the man. He called the police and they came and picked him up. I don't know what the details are, but the guard told me that when they searched him, all they found was a knife. No wallet, no phone, no keys, nothing. Just a friggin' knife. Let's never meet again. Hey, are you in the Trenchcoat Mafia? So, this would have been when I was 14 years old, a freshman in high school. It was probably a month after the Columbine shootings had happened, so it was May 1999. I attended a magnet school in Florida, so I lived a ways away from where my school actually was. This meant that I was picked up by the bus a lot earlier and left back at my bus stop a lot later than the students who went to the local high school. I wasn't a goth in my beliefs or actions, but I had the tendency to dress in a lot of black. My favorite combo was a long black skirt with a colorful t-shirt and an oversized black corduroy shirt that I wore as a jacket. Not really all that threatening, being that I was 5 foot and 100 pounds soaking wet. I lived in a subdivision, so the bus would leave me off at the front, and of course, my house was pretty much all the way at the back. It meant about a 20-minute walk around the neighborhood to get home. It was fun. Most days it was very uneventful, I guess. I had a few days where loose dogs would chase me away from their yards or something like that, and it was largely just a long, stupid walk home every single day. Getting back to this day in May 99, my bus had left me off like normal, and I was walking back to my house. I noticed this beat-up old black truck was pacing me. I looked over to see if I knew it was someone I knew inside. There were 2 older teenagers, I'd say 16 or 17 years old, maybe a little bit older. I didn't know them, and I did not recognize the truck as being a vehicle I'd seen in the neighborhood before. I tried to ignore them and continue walking home, but then they started to talk to each other about me. Look at what we've got here. Seems like we got ourselves a member of the Trenchcoat Mafia. Side note, the Trenchcoat Mafia was supposedly a group that the 2 shooters from Columbine belonged to. They all dressed in black trench coats. Well, I guess we'll just need to see if she's dangerous. Hey, sweetheart, you remember the Trenchcoat Mafia? You got a gun in that backpack? I think we need to bring you back with us to figure that out. At this point, I'm freaking out internally. Externally, I continued walking normally until I could see the house of my piano teacher, who lived closer to the front of the subdivision. Thankfully, her car was in the driveway, and I knocked on the door. She was home, and as I was going into her house, I saw the truck speed away. I caught a few numbers off the license plate before they sped out of view. At that point, I just lost it, told my piano teacher what had happened, and asked her to use her phone and call my parents and then the police. A cop came and picked me up from her house, drove me to my house, checked to make sure it was secure, and stayed with me until my parents got home. They took my report, said I had done everything right, and told me to just be on the lookout for the truck again. I stayed after school as much as I could in the following weeks, so my parents would have to pick me up. Once school started up the next year, I was always watching for the 2 boys. I never heard anything from the police. I assume it went nowhere, or the boys were just being creeps. Regardless, it was really frightening at the time, and still gives me the chills when I think about it today. Man in the Trench Coat in Berlin. This took place in Berlin in March of 2014. I was studying abroad with 2 friends, and we went out for the night at this club called Treasure, I think. Anyways, we were done. At the club, there was a kebab stand nearby, and we got some food and sat in the subway tunnel on the stairs to eat. All of a sudden, we heard loud bangs and screams and 2 people run past us. We are a little drunk, and I'm just thinking, someone must have dropped something, and it made a bang and it echoed or whatever. I'm not worried about because I'm young and carefree. I'm with my friends Julie and Ryan. Ryan teaches on a gun range back home and says to us, "That was a gun." Well, that freaks us the fuck out. He tells us to stay calm quietly and is staring straight ahead. There's a guy who looks straight from the movies. Long tan trench coat and black crazy hair, walking calmly but steadily towards us with a gun in his hands. We were squished as close together against the wall as can be, with Ryan the closest to the wall and Julie on the other end. Ryan, who carries his gun in the States, reaches to the back of his pants to grab his gun from where it would normally be. Then upon remembering he is in Germany, goes, "Oh shit." Ryan whispers to us, "Do not make eye contact." So naturally, I make eye contact. The guy had some of the creepiest, darkest eyes I've ever seen. He stops in front of us, cocks the gun, and points it straight at Julia. He pulls the trigger and starts cracking up. He's out of ammo. He then takes a couple steps up the stairs past us, reloads, walks out of the tunnel, shoots it in the air, and is laughing so loud we can still hear him. Us 3 and just sitting there like, what the fuck just happened? And then Ryan gets up, makes us run out of the tunnel, and pushes us into the nearest taxi. We wouldn't even talk about this for like 4 days because we could not believe it happened. We asked each other if it really did. I remember once we got back home, I was sitting somewhere and saw a guy in a trench coat and basically had a panic attack. I'll be absolutely okay with never seeing that man again, ever again. Ryan says he knew that he used the last bullet in the chamber. By the way, he heard the last shot on the gun, which is why he didn't make us move immediately. I think I was just frozen by fear, and Julia too. I have lots of fun travel stories like getting mugged with Julia and having her life threatened again, and Ryan accidentally bringing parts of his gun with him to England. And if anyone is interested, I love these true storytelling subreddits. Thanks for letting me share this terrifying experience. I really like this sub, so sorry for the second posting, but I finally got the courage to share my stories. This might be better for like Reddit creepy encounters or something, so if so, just let me know. I just figured this would be appropriate because I would really be fine if I never ever met this man again, you know? Update. So y'all had me questioning my sanity about this happening. I even had to double check with my friends, and we did in fact experience this. They read my post and were like, "Yep, that's how I remember it too." I don't know why, but I let it bother me that people were saying such crazy things about me in the comments after I shared my story. I used fake names because the guidelines said to do that anyways. I decided to post it to Reddit Berlin and get their input. They said that people run around with blanks firing guns a lot, and that it would be something most likely that would not show in the news. Nobody seemed fazed that what I was describing would happen, so I'm going to assume that it's not a real gun, but nevertheless, it was terrifying. Because if you ever heard gunshots, you'd probably not take your chances. Just run the other way, you know?